husband cheated on me, and I was devastated. I was angry. I cut, I crashed, I attacked, I stabbed, I plotted. I did a lot of stuff.
I'm a firm believer that charity begins at home and then it spreads. And then I forgot that part. And so I contributed to the distance in our relationship.
I'm just saying, I like for you to look a little more like I like for you to look.
I started realizing how faulty I was. The fact that I've been a contentious wife the entire time I've been married to him. I'm sitting up here running around being the face of gospel, encouraging everybody, being more of a really good Christian in theory.
Like, I don't need you for too much of this because I run stuff. I got the baby, so I got love. I don't need the other kind of love. I'm fine, at least for a little while. You know what I mean? Because I got her. You know what I mean? And so
I'll
he
check
was
in
just
with you next month.
Y'all, what if the one person who was supposed to love you forever was destroying you every single day? Not just cheating, not just lying, not just a double life, but your husband and your own sister, both at the same time. Let that sink in. The woman who shared your stage, who sang beside you about God and grace and faith, who smiled at you at family dinners, who held your children, was allegedly sleeping with your husband behind your back for years, and you had absolutely no idea. We're talking about Tina Campbell, gospel royalty, faith icon, one half of Mary Mary, a woman the entire Christian world looked up to. But behind those worship songs and those stage smiles, her husband Teddy was running a double life, and allegedly, her own sister Erica was part of it. Y'all, this isn't just betrayal. This is biblical level destruction, because Tina didn't just lose a husband. She didn't just lose a marriage. She lost her sister, her best friend, her ministry partner, her entire world. One woman, 2 betrayals, 0 warning. And when the truth finally hit her, she didn't pray. She didn't forgive. She snapped. 3 cars destroyed, murders plotted, a woman completely unrecognizable, even to herself. But here's where it gets even darker. She forgave him. She stayed. She fought for that marriage with everything she had, and he still left, filed for divorce, then had the audacity, the absolute nerve, to demand spousal support from the woman he destroyed. Y'all, some people don't just break your heart. They burn your entire life down and then ask you to pay for the matches. Tina Campbell is finally telling all of it, and what she's about to reveal will shake the entire gospel world forever. Stay with me, because this story is only just beginning.
Found out about it when we were taping the show. We were taping a reality show called Mary Mary. Some of y'all don't know. We went through a season of her finding out everything that I had done.
The person who it was, she used to work for me, and so that broke my heart. She was like a godmother to my children. She had access to my home to come get my kids, and I said, "Are you having an affair with her?" And he said, "No." I said, "Call her." While we doing this, I was like, "Call her." And so he did.
Y'all think you know this story. You don't, because what Tina Campbell lived through wasn't just a cheating scandal. It wasn't just a divorce. It was a calculated, long-running, carefully hidden conspiracy. And the people running it were the 2 people she trusted most in this entire world. Let's go back, because this didn't start with a confession. It didn't start with a text message someone accidentally saw. It didn't start with a lipstick on a collar or a hotel receipt. It started with a feeling, that quiet, creeping, suffocating feeling that something in your life is deeply wrong, but you can't name it, can't prove it, can't hold it in your hands. Tina felt it for months, maybe years. A phone flipped face down on the table, a conversation that stopped the moment she walked into the room, a distance between her and Teddy that had no explanation. She pushed it down. She prayed over it. She told herself she was imagining things, because this was Teddy Campbell, her husband, her partner, the father of her children, the man she built everything with. Why would she doubt him? But here's what nobody talks about when it comes to betrayal this deep. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock on your door. It lives inside your house. It eats at your table. It sleeps in your bed. And it looks exactly like the life you thought you had. So when the truth finally started coming out, it didn't come gently. It came like a flood. One detail, then another, and each one was worse than the last. Yes, Teddy had been unfaithful. Not once, not twice, repeatedly, deliberately, over a long period of time. But the detail that didn't just break Tina's heart, the detail that rewired something permanent inside her, was who one of these women was. Not a stranger, not someone from another city, not someone Tina had never met, someone she knew, someone she trusted, someone who had been inside her home, around her children, on her payroll.
And he was like, "Tina wants to know," and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, "Are you sleeping with my husband?" And she hung up the phone, so I had my answer. So it broke my heart. I destroyed 3 cars. I cut up and crashed up and tried to stab and plotted murders and all kind of crazy stuff because I was angry.
Since then, I found out about more. And I don't want to hold on to somebody who I cannot trust. You see, I have been trying since the very beginning. The situation gets a little worse, and then I try to forgive, and it gets a little worse, and I try to forgive. You gonna keep adding people? You gonna keep adding people? You gonna keep adding people? I thought we had a good life just like everybody else watching. I was 190% committed to that man. And this is what you did every time I was gone?
That word, stole. She didn't say hurt, she didn't say disappointed. She said stole, because that's exactly what it was. Every moment Tina was on that stage, singing, worshiping, believing, performing faith for millions, Teddy was back home, stealing her life, and she had no idea. The rage that followed wasn't just emotional, it was structural collapse, the kind that happens when everything you built your entire identity around gets exposed as fiction. 3 cars destroyed, murders plotted, a woman of God pushed to the absolute edge of herself. And just when you think it cannot possibly get any darker, Teddy looks her in the eyes and says something that nobody expected.
And I was like, what if I kill you first? He said. He said.
No. This is what you said. You looked at me. You was mad because she was. She looked at me one time. She's like, "Don't you think you deserve to die?" And I was like,
"Wow."
I said, "Yeah."
Oh.
I said, "Yeah." I said, "The wages of sin is death." I said, if you kill me, I'm going to be with the Lord.
Because I repented.
But if you don't, I'm gonna make this up to you.
Y'all, he didn't run. He didn't make excuses. He didn't disappear. He stood there, in the wreckage he created. And he said, I will fix this. And something in Tina, as broken as she was, as destroyed as she felt, believed him. That decision, to stay, to forgive, to try, would cost her everything. And the worst part? The betrayal wasn't even over yet. She stayed. After everything she saw, after everything she heard, after everything she felt in that moment when the world fell out from under her feet, Tina Campbell stayed. And you might be sitting there thinking, how? How does a woman survive that kind of destruction and still choose to stay? But here's what people on the outside never understand about betrayal this deep. When you have given someone 20 years of your life, 20 years of your faith, 20 years of your identity, leaving isn't just leaving a person. It's leaving the entire version of yourself that only existed inside that relationship. And Tina wasn't ready to bury that version of herself. Not yet. So she forgave. She fought. She rebuilt, piece by piece, prayer by prayer, day by day. And Teddy, he showed up. He did what he promised. He pursued her. He ran back to God. He did the work. And for a moment, just a moment, it looked like maybe, just maybe, this story was going to have a different ending.
He said, if you don't, I'm going to get you back.
Yeah, I'll make this up to you.
He said,
I broke it.
If you divorce me, I'm going to pursue you till I get you back.
Yeah, I did tell her.
And I was like, I didn't know.
She knew
I know exactly where we were in our house when that man said that. And I was like, he means it. He do to get me back. He did everything he said he was going to do. He did everything that he said he was going to do. So in the spirit, he ran to...
No easy way. She wasn't lying. Tina Campbell was not a woman who made forgiveness simple. She was not a woman who quietly accepted an apology and moved on. She was fire. She was fight. She was 20 years of love and rage and faith all tangled up together. And Teddy knew that. He knew who he was dealing with. He knew that to get this woman back, he would have to become someone completely different. And for a while, it seemed like he was trying. The marriage survived, the ministry continued, the cameras kept rolling, Mary kept performing. The world kept watching. And from the outside, everything looked fine. But here's the thing about wounds that never fully heal. They don't disappear. They don't close. They just go quiet, waiting. And underneath the surface of this restored marriage, underneath the forgiveness and the faith and the public performances, something was still deeply wrong. Because Tina was fighting a battle nobody could see, not just the battle to save her marriage, the battle to save herself. Because here is what the cameras never captured. Here is what the gospel world never knew. While Tina was standing on those stages, singing about grace and redemption and God's faithfulness, she was privately falling apart. The condemnation was eating her alive. Not just anger at Teddy, not just grief over the betrayal, but something far more dangerous: self-blame. The quiet, suffocating voice inside her head that kept asking, was this my fault? Did I contribute to this? Did I push him away? Am I even worthy of being on this stage anymore? That voice is the second betrayal that nobody talks about, the one that happens inside you. After someone destroys your trust, you stop trusting them, and then slowly, quietly, devastatingly, you stop trusting yourself. Let that land for a second. This woman, this gospel icon, this face of faith that millions of people looked up to, was standing behind a microphone every single night, preaching about God's love, while privately believing she wasn't worthy of it. That is not strength. That is survival. Bare, raw, bleeding survival. And the world had no idea. They saw the performances. They heard the music. They watched the smile. They didn't see what happened when the lights went off. They didn't see Tina alone, drowning in questions she couldn't answer, carrying guilt that wasn't entirely hers to carry, wondering if she even had a right to call herself a woman of God anymore. And while she was fighting that battle inside herself, something else was happening, something she didn't know about yet, something that had been quietly building right under her nose, in the one place she never thought to look. And when it finally came out, it didn't just reopen the wound, it destroyed everything that had healed. Y'all, the worst part of this story hasn't even started yet. There are some truths that don't arrive quietly. They don't tap you on the shoulder. They don't give you time to prepare. They don't wait until you're strong enough. They arrive like a demolition, all at once, without warning, without mercy. And for Tina Campbell, that moment came when she least expected it. Not when she was ready, not when she was strong, but when she was already on her knees, already broken, already barely holding herself together, already fighting every single day just to show up, just to breathe, just to keep believing that the worst was behind her. It wasn't, because while Tina was doing the hard, quiet, invisible work of rebuilding herself, while she was forgiving what most people wouldn't even survive hearing, something else had been happening, something that had been carefully hidden, deliberately concealed, running parallel to everything she thought was real. And the people involved weren't strangers. This is the part of the story that changes everything. Not the cheating, not the double life, not even the woman who had been inside her home. This. Because what allegedly happened next didn't just break Tina Campbell's heart again, it broke something that can never be fully repaired. The trust you have in your own blood. We're talking about Erica Campbell, her sister, her ministry partner, her other half in Mary, the woman who had stood beside her on every stage, who had prayed with her through every storm, who had held her hand through the darkest seasons of her life. That woman, allegedly, was not who Tina thought she was. Sources close to the situation allegedly claim that the relationship between Teddy and Erica was not just professional, was not just family. It had allegedly crossed lines that nobody in the gospel world wanted to believe were possible. And it had allegedly been going on for a long time, right there, in plain sight, hidden behind family dinners and ministry appearances and stage performances. Every time the three of them were in the same room, allegedly, two of them knew something the third one didn't. Let that sink in. Every prayer, every rehearsal, every conversation backstage. Tina was the only one in the dark, and when that realization landed, it didn't just hurt, it rewired her. Because this wasn't a stranger betraying her. This was her sister, the one person in the world who was supposed to be on her side, no matter what, unconditionally, always. And allegedly, she wasn't. This is also where Warren Campbell enters the story, Erica's husband, a deeply spiritual man, a music producer who had built his entire life around his faith and his family, 25 years of marriage, and then, allegedly, he found out. And what happened to Warren when the truth hit him was its own kind of collapse. Because he wasn't just losing a marriage, he was losing the version of his life he thought was real. Just like Tina, just like everyone else caught in the wreckage of this secret. 1 alleged betrayal, 2 destroyed households, 4 lives permanently altered, and the gospel world, watching all of it, completely speechless.
I felt too condemned because of all my mistakes. Because I didn't get the last test right. Because I was not an honorable wife to my husband because he pissed me off, so I let it rip. When I was mean and intimidating to my children because they wasn't doing well in school and I didn't help them with love. So I'll be over here dealing with my own condemnation, some of the choices that I've made that have caused, consequences that ain't wonderful. Be over here that will be all up in your mind. And are you actually gonna get back out there and sing? Do anybody even want to hear you anymore?
Somebody else to pray. Not for her marriage, not for her career, not even for her healing. Just somebody, anybody, to pray. Because she had reached a place so dark, so deep, so completely stripped of everything she had ever known about herself that she couldn't even find God in it anymore. This woman who had built her entire identity around faith, who had stood on stages and led thousands into worship, who had preached about redemption and grace and God's unfailing love, was sitting alone somewhere, wondering if any of it applied to her, wondering if she was too broken to be fixed, too far gone to be found, too damaged to deserve anything good ever again. That is what betrayal at this level does. It doesn't just take the person, it takes your faith, your identity, your voice, your sense of self. It takes everything you were before you loved them and leaves you standing in the wreckage, trying to remember who you were before they burned it all down. But here is what nobody expected. Tina Campbell did not stay in that wreckage. She got up, slowly, painfully, imperfectly, but she got up. And now, she has evidence. She has voice notes, she has recordings, she has pictures, and she has made one thing absolutely clear. She is no longer staying quiet. The gospel world wanted her to forgive and move on, to keep smiling, to keep performing, to keep protecting everyone else's reputation at the cost of her own truth. She's done. Because some things cannot be forgiven in silence. Some wounds demand to be seen. And Tina Campbell is finally ready to be seen. Y'all, let's be very clear about what just happened here. Tina Campbell gave this man 20 years of loyalty, 20 years of faith, 20 years of forgiveness. She destroyed 3 cars, she plotted, she raged, she fell completely apart, and then she chose him anyway. She rebuilt herself from absolute nothing, just to keep that marriage alive. And what did she get in return? Divorce papers, a spousal support demand, and a sister who allegedly betrayed her in ways that cannot be undone. Not one betrayal, 2, simultaneously, from the 2 people who were supposed to love her unconditionally. And while Tina was drowning in all of that, her sister Erica was on social media celebrating 25 years of marriage. The timing was brutal. The contrast was devastating. The audacity was historic. But here is what everyone needs to understand right now. Tina Campbell is not the same woman she was. She is not crying quietly backstage anymore. She is not protecting anyone's reputation at the cost of her own truth. She is not staying silent to keep the peace. She has voice notes. She has recordings. She has pictures. She has everything. And she has made it crystal clear. When the time comes, she will release every single piece of it. The gospel world is not ready. The Campbell family is not ready. Nobody is ready. Because when a woman who has lost absolutely everything finally decides to speak, there is nothing left to lose. And that kind of woman is the most dangerous person in any room. Tina Campbell is done being the victim in this story. She is now the one holding the match, and that fire is coming.